All right, welcome in. I'm just sitting here. I'm Joe Murray. We're viewed now on Periscope and Twitter, but also on Facebook Live. I am in my basement. This is the new spot for me going forward here. So a lot to get into today on the show. Of course, Tom Brady had a candid interview with Howard Stern. We'll get into that. He said some interesting things, at least three interesting things, some things we didn't know. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Dan Lifshatz from 98.5 The Sports Hub, and also the Over Under podcast, the highly rated Over Under podcast, and my tag team partner. He'll join us in just a minute here. After that, I'll review the Brawl for All. If anybody watched on Vice End last night, Dark Side of Wrestling, great little documentary there. And also, who would win if they did a Brawl for All on today's roster? And I believe that there is some political news as well. I'm out on politics, but I'm sure our man Dan Lifshatz can help us out with that. And of course, you can chat along. So feel free to send in your chats as well. We'll have Dan here for about 25 minutes, and then we'll get into a little bit more. So let's bring him in. Dan Lifshatz, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Dan, Tom Brady on with Howard Stern this morning. It was a 2-hour interview. The one thing that I liked about it overall was Brady was candid. He was cussing. He one time admitted that he smoked weed in his life, which I loved. And again, Howard Stern is the best interviewer of all time. Like, of all time, you had two GOATs going at it today. I mean, I have three hot topics that I think Brady brought up. But did anything stand out to you from the interview for today?
I mean, I think the main thing, at least for me, Joe, was the fact that, Brady said that he basically knew going into the year that it was going to be his last year. And I think that there were a lot of people who had an inclination that was the case, but denied it, really didn't want to believe that was the honest case. But I mean, it sounds like that, the Patriots and Brady never got close. He never really wanted to come back from kind of what I took, and that, he decided, once they didn't, once he signed that extension last year, or the reworking of his contract where the Pats are no longer allowed to franchise him, that he was leaving. And it kind of just depended on the destination from there.
Boom. So the quote was, before last season, he had his contract restructured. This is what he told Stern. And basically, from that standpoint, he knew at the end of the year he was going to become a free agent for the first time in his career. He'd spoken with the ownership team, Mr. Kraft, who, in the end, thought it would be a good fit. He wanted to stay there. But over the course of the season and the offseason, there wasn't a ton of conversations when it came to his contract. They had some, but when it came down to it, he went into the season knowing that he was going to become a free agent. So a lot of stuff happened during the year, right? When they start 8-0, there was at one point where he was just upset with the offense overall. And he knew that, like, they didn't have the receivers. And then the Antonio Brown thing happened. He tried to get him back consistently. We watched a whole entire season where Rob Gronkowski retired and Brady, who asked for it with his contract, right? No tag, and then he couldn't be franchise tagged either, or no trade as well. We watched the last season of Tom Brady, and he knew it. And my whole thing is all these reports that came out, the Seth Wickersham stuff from the past, I think from what we get, and even the Gisele stuff, which we'll get to in a minute here, it sounds like all the reports, the stuff that we heard were true. In the end, he wanted to move on from the Patriots and Bill Belichick and go somewhere else. But he knew it a year in advance, and that's a little bit surprising, I feel. And I wonder at times, Dan, did he not want to throw the guys on the field or deal with a first-round draft pick or whoever they brought in? And was that maybe one of the reasons why they didn't succeed during the year?
Yeah, I mean, it did kind of sound like Brady was being a little bit dramatic. Oh, if you're not going to try, I'm not going to throw to you. I mean, what the hell?
And he said Belichick said the same thing too, but that's his words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that is probably the case for Belichick. I'm not going to, call him a liar or anything, but it is frustrating knowing that Brady didn't even look receivers' ways because they didn't work hard enough, in his opinion. I mean, listen, I love Brady. He's my favorite football player of all time, probably my favorite athlete of all time, as of right now. But, I mean, the guy, was skipping OTAs. Like, what do you mean? you have to put in the work that you want back. And so, if Brady is going to be the kind of guy that, expects his receivers to work hard, he's got to match their level. He's got to match their intensity. And I don't think he did the past few years. Now, is that a knock on, him as an actual player on the field? No. But I mean, the fact is that his expectations were a little bit out of whack. And I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of ready to see what Brady does in Tampa Bay with, Mike Evans and OJ Howard and Chris Godwin. I'm interested to see.
All right. Brady had more stuff on the interview, and people can chat in. So whether you're watching on Facebook Live or on Periscope or Twitter, you can chat in. You can see JP says, "What's up?" You can tell somebody wants us to go to a chaotic show. Dan, you probably wouldn't come unless you wanted to drink with us. And my buddy Chris, what's up with the Utah shirt? Of course, the wife recruiter went to Utah, and I was like, get me a shirt. And not to mention Utah. What did they do in the Pac-12 championship game, Dan?
I believe they shit themselves.
I believe that's what they did.
I believe that's the correct term.
They almost came back though, right? They called timeouts on fourth down, right? And then finally, they didn't. They went for it on fourth down and failed many times. And then actually, with a chance with momentum, they didn't go for it on fourth down. That's a discussion.
It was not exactly the best coaching performance in that game. I was shocked that Oregon ended up winning that game. But
that's a discussion. That's a discussion for another day. But something gamblers will always remember, right? A gambler will always remember something about a team somehow, some way.
Gamblers always remember the losses and never the wins. You never remember your best wins. You always remember just the most brutal losses of all time.
And of course, Dan, a part of 98.5 The Sports Hub, and also the Over Under 985 podcast, the highly rated Over Under 98.5 podcast, and of course the DraftKings Over Under show that is on 98.5 The Sports Hub. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Just getting a little bit more of this Brady stuff out of the way. Brady mentioned he went in the last season knowing it'd be his last. Said he didn't care at all about his legacy, which I thought was interesting. Brady said he skipped OTAs the past couple of years because his wife, Gisele, wasn't satisfied with their marriage and wanted him to check himself. So I asked you, Dan Lifshatz, if you heard more about this. She wrote him a letter, said he needed to pull his weight a little bit more. For years, Brady was criticized about not showing up to OTAs. And now we know the reason why. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Tampa Bay this year and with everything happening with the pandemic, but
he's already said he's going to be attending OTAs this
week. Okay, so he didn't go with the Patriots because he wasn't pulling his weight. And your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that Gisele dictated a ton of what went on behind the scenes. I think that she is ultimately, and again, people disagree with me, and people said I'm a bad person for thinking this, but because whatever, I'm not going to go into the whole politics of it. But I think that she's the reason he left. I do. I think that ever since that she has come into his life, she's changed him as a person. And I think that she got him to stop going to OTAs because, she didn't like how the team was treating him. And I think that, she is the reason that Tom Brady left the Patriots. Now you can argue with me.
Oh, so wait, hold on. Dan Lifshatz is saying that she's the reason why Tom Brady has left the Patriots.
I said that a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to get that on record.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. She is the reason that he left. 100%. I mean, listen, she has more influence on him than I think most people understand. And I think this OTA thing is a perfect example of showing just how much influence, she had on him. He changed. He changed when she came in the picture. That's the case.
I think winning, Bill Belichick, her, him, TB12, it's like a lot of stuff in there, Dan. She's a part of it.
The TB12 is not, we needed to expand TB12 to Tampa, Florida. I mean, that had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean?
True.
TB12 to me was going to expand no matter what. You could have expanded it here. And Boston is a much bigger market than Tampa. I don't think that really had much to do with it. Sure. Could you say that Belichick played a part in it? I think that's more than fair. But I think the large reason is he changed when she came into the picture. And I think that she's the reason he left.
I'll say this though, she defended him when nobody could catch a football, or when Wes Welker drops a ball in the Super Bowl to clinch it. She comes out and says, "My husband can't throw the ball and catch the ball."
Yeah, she also came out and said my husband's gotten multiple concussions and outed him on that. I mean,
and he admitted it. He admitted it on the Howard Stern show today that he's had concussions in his career. They didn't get into it, but you're right. She brought that up. She's the one who opened that can of worms.
Yep.
He did confirm it today.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's on her. She has changed a lot about him. And again, I'm not saying it's for the better or for the worse. If you're a New England Patriots fan, it's obviously for the worse. But in my personal opinion, if we don't see Gisele in his life, I think you're good.
Well, he's happy. And dude, listen, $70 million, whatever she makes a year, he's doing just fine. And listen, the guy's 42 years old. He doesn't need to prove anything else whatsoever. He's still playing football. Yeah, granted, he's won six Super Bowls, and who knows what he's going to do with the rest of his career. But maybe she does have a point at times. Like, dude, what else do you have to prove? Maybe they don't appreciate you because I don't know. At times, did they? You know?
No. Listen. I think that she has fair points. Okay, I think that he wasn't appreciated enough at times. 100%. I think that he didn't have anything left to prove here. 100%. I think that it's more than fair that he moved on. He gave everything to the city for years. I mean, he is, the definition of the New England Patriots, him and Belichick. So you can't be mad at him for moving on, but I think that you can be upset with her if you're a Patriots fan, because I think that she is ultimately the reason that he moved on. I think she wanted a warmer climate, not saying that Tampa is LA or anything, but I think she wanted the warmer climate. And, I think that she wanted him to feel appreciated. And I think that likely through this whole process, Tampa very much appreciated him.
So Dan, Bobby Light is checking in. She changed him. She doesn't come into the picture. He stays here. I don't know if I agree with that, but
I do. I agree.
He does double down on your take that Dan Lifshatz says that Gisele's the reason why Tom Brady's no longer in New England.
I'm being honest.
You stand by your take.
I do. I think that she's the reason. I think that we got a lot more evidence of that today when he basically said, "Oh yeah, I wasn't allowed to go to OTAs because my wife told me I couldn't go."
Boston's too small for a city for Super G. No privacy here, says Michael JP.
I mean, that might be true. I mean, I don't know the size of Tampa, but I can't imagine it's much bigger than Boston. You know what I mean?
Yep. Then a couple other people checking in. Stidham's pick six. Didn't cover the game. That was terrible.
That is definitely a gambling moment you remember. I mean, definitely not the worst by far, but yeah, that was a bad one. That was against the Jets. That was bad.
Then, of course, that Utah game, which was not good at all. So you can certainly chat in with us. I'm here with Dan Lifshatz, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We do a podcast together, the Over Under 98.5 podcast, and we're on Saturdays at 7 a.m. You can check us out on Thursday morning at 7 a.m. on Toucher and Rich. We do a weekly appearance there as well. Just, the third thing I think I just wanted to mention regarding the Howard Stern interview, which, again, I thought was outstanding. Brady was candid. Here we used to listen to Howard Stern on WBCN, and, Brady hardly used to listen on the way. He said on the way to practice, he listened to Stern every day on the way in. And I thought that was interesting. My other note that I had here was that when it came to Tom Brady and some of the things that he mentioned in the interview, he mentioned, other players there and not getting the offense there. And I know we slightly touched on it, but what's going to happen now with Tampa Bay, right? Mike Evans, Godwin's another player, but there's going to be a whole new offense, a whole, new players and things of that degree. Like some of the issues he had in New England here, he's going to see there, but he makes it sound like he's going to go there and Bruce Arians' offense is going to be outstanding and it's the best fit for him. Another thing he did say too was there were more than one team, besides the Chargers and the Bucks that were interested in him. I thought that was interesting during that interview as well.
Yeah, I believe he also said that the Raiders weren't interested. And they were my pick. I really thought that they would be interested. We've heard they wanted to move on from Derek Carr for some time now. So I thought that was a seamless fit there. I'm surprised they didn't go the Brady route, especially, opening up a new stadium in Vegas, and it made a lot of sense. Listen, Brady is a really, really, really good player. He is still, in my opinion, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL today. I know people disagree with that, but I still think he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I think that, over the next, few years, maybe he goes down to top 10, but nonetheless, he's still a very good quarterback, and he's going to improve that team quite a bit. I mean, you saw their odds, obviously when it, was Winston. You saw, what they did last year. They were garbage. Winston turned the ball over every time basically he could. I think Brady obviously won't make those mistakes, and he's going to significantly improve their offense and everything. So I don't know, man. I just I am of the feeling that Brady is going to succeed there and do pretty well. I don't know if he's going to win a Super Bowl. That's not exactly, my thoughts there, but I think he'll succeed. I think that, they will challenge for the division this year, and we'll see what happens there.
All right, Dan, moving on here. I mentioned that we do our podcast together 2 years now. How long have you been at 98.5 The Sports Hub, and how did you get on to 98.5 The Sports Hub?
Let's see. I've been in 98.5 The Sports Hub since December of 2015, I think, was when I started, or maybe it was November 2015, right around there. Interned at Felgard, Mass for a year. Jimmy Stewart and I became friendly, had a good relationship, and there was an opening at 98.5. Jimmy had recommended me to our bosses, and our bosses hired me, and pretty much that was that's the story. I mean, nothing too crazy. Just went to CSB after college because I decided I wanted to do something else, and kind of got into it. So went from CSB to Felgard, Mass to 98.5.
Nice. And we started the podcast 2 years ago. We were just two guys who like gambling, and they were like, "Hey, why don't you guys just start doing a podcast?" And we did. And I, not to give the secret sauce away, but what worked for us was we were entertaining. It wasn't just, the over, the under, this and that. Like, we were passionate about it, but at the same time, like, I think we kind of do our shit. Like I know we're two dudes. Like, we didn't write for the Boston Globe or the Boston Herald or whatever, but like we knew our shit, and like a 60% record, dude, not to flex on everybody. But like that's how the podcast became good, because we were giving good picks and good advice.
Yeah, I mean, we did well in the podcast. I mean, there's no other way to put it. We had some fun. We did well, and I mean, that reflected in listenership going up as it should. When you always want to tail the hot guy, right? That's kind of like the thing is you always want to tail the hot guy. Well, I think that we kind of we did that.
Yes, and you can't win them all, but for the most part, though, very successful. We do it every week, and the biggest thing is, Dan, we put our balls on the line. Like, how many people post something or give something out, and then it's like a crystal ball. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, here we go. Yeah, we got shit for Lamar Jackson last year, right? 66-1. I can't tell you how much shit I got for Lamar Jackson last year. Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, you're this. And we nailed it. I mean, we nailed that. And I mean, there's things in the past that you've nailed, and that we get tons of shit.
And we've lost terrible things too.
Oh hell yeah! We've made some terrible picks.
But I mean, Illinois is your claim. You hated Illinois.
I don't want to fucking talk
they beat Wisconsin on their undefeated season, and it was like everyone's gonna go at Dan Lifshatz today. You know what I mean? Or like recently with WWE, they just had WrestleMania. Lacey Evans was about to win the title. My mentions went through the roof. You know what I'm saying? It's because of because of all that. I do think that the TNR bump has certainly helped us.
Absolutely.
As well. But I've been doing a podcast here, Dan, because we can't do our regular podcast anymore because A, we can't get into the studio anymore, but B, we have a weekly show that's sponsored by DraftKings. It's an hour right now, but during this time of year, like, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to bet on. There are some things you can bet on, Dan. What's out there right now that you can bet on?
I mean, politics. Obviously, there's some political stuff that you.
All right. So what happened today? I don't talk politics, but what happened with Bernie?
Yeah, so Bernie dropped out of the race. I had been touting Biden when he was plus 800 to a few select people, although I kind of got scared when he reached those limits. But I've been touting that for quite a while. Bernie, dropped out today, so it sounds like it's over for him. Biden has a clear path unless they decide to go with someone else. I do think that there's a possibility that they end up going with someone like Cuomo if they don't want to go with Biden. So I think that you have to give a natural heads there. But yeah, I think that is a legitimate that's a legitimate market right now. You can bet on it's Trump or Biden or Trump or the Democratic whatever going to win, Democratic nominee going to win the state. So there's definitely options to bet there.
Hey, Dan, quickly, what happened in West Virginia last night? Did they all of a sudden you could gamble on politics and then they pulled it off the table quickly?
So I'm really not sure what exactly happened. I know that we were informed that they were offering it legally, which is the first time I guess it's ever been offered legally that you can bet on politics. I will say that books all around the world have been allowing you to bet on politics for years, so it's nothing really that new. I guess it's just new for the legalization of it, I guess. But to me, it's it wasn't a big deal because it's something that we've been doing for such a long time, anyways.
True. Like we could just go online, go on draft, go somewhere and put in the bet in. And I know politics is all that we have right now, besides Nicaraguan soccer.
We got Belarus and Nicaraguan soccer. You got Taiwanese basketball. Never sleep on that. You got the virtual Madden and NBA 2K Sims. Joe, I don't know if you heard about the NBA 2K Players Tournament and what happened there. But okay, so what happened was the whole thing was pre-taped.
You know what? Save it. Save it for the weekend.
Okay.
You got to listen. You got to listen to our show on Saturday at 7 a.m. live on 98.5 The Sports Hub, and Dan will tell his story about what happened this week with simulations because
the NBA
these things are pre-taped, right?
Yes.
So I already throw up a red flag when it comes to betting on shit that's pre-taped. Anyways, we got Dan for another 10 minutes or so here.
Yeah, another 10 minutes.
So obviously, people, what's up, boys? Two studs, Gisele, Lifshatz.
Dude, there's no one else out there to give me a cut. I can't go to any barbershop.
Dude,
I'm going wild.
That's why I do it myself, man. The head I got to take care of, but the beard, it's like, what do I do here? Yeah, someone sending a shout out from Atlanta. What up, ETL? You see those new jerseys for the Falcons?
They're nice, dude. I like them. I actually really like the gray Tampa ones too, man. I think
so. I was going to ask you about that in a minute here because we're going to do a quarantine. I'm going to call it the Quangle, if you really want to get into it.
Yes,
the quarantine angle.
Gotcha. The core angle.
Our buddy Bird checking in Utah Utes. Yes. And Tyler Huntley, a quarterback, that'll be in the draft this year. I wonder if he gets drafted again this year. All right, so here we go, Dan. I wanted to do some quarantine time with you. It's funny, Dan. We work together. We've worked together for 2 years. We see each other every single week, maybe once or twice a week. But do I really, really know Dan Lifshatz?
I guess we're gonna find out.
I know you like to gamble. I know you like to eat. I know in the summertime you're sandals and a bathing suit and some sort of throwback jersey.
Yep.
But what do you like? What is something that people can know about Dan? Besides that, the only way to get to actually talk to Dan is to argue with him. Because you have to get in an argument with Dan in order to become friends. That's how it works. But what is something about Dan Lifshatz that everybody doesn't know, or maybe that I don't even know about you?
Man, I don't know something that you.
All right, Dan. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite damn movie?
All right, okay. My favorite movie is Euro Trip. Have you ever seen that?
Of course I have, but that's your favorite movie?
That's my favorite movie. Hey, listen, it's stupid as fuck. I know it's a terrible movie, but I loved it when I was growing up. I loved it as a kid. It made me fucking laugh. And listen, I'm not a guy who how about this? I'm not a guy who takes movies too fucking seriously. I'm not a super serious movie critic. I like to go into the movie and be entertained. If you can entertain me, that's fine. If you can't, then I'm not going to like the movie, regardless of how deep it was and all that bullshit. I don't care about that.
I did watch Superbad last night, which I like.
Yeah.
And then I ended up watching The Patriot. I don't know why. Late night.
What time did you get to bed last night?
Dude, like almost 3 a.m.
Of course you did. Yeah. Okay. I was up to 1 a.m. last night. I was up pretty late.
The problem was it was with commercials. So like, the ghost is out there and he kills 20 people. And it's like, shit, what's next? You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh man, the next here comes the French guy. I love his accent, and
spoiler alert.
Yeah. All right, Dad. So here's what I got for you. We'll let you go in like 5 minutes or whatever.
Okay. Cool.
So Dan, when everything can get back out there and this social distancing thing lightens up a little bit, where is the first restaurant you are going to when this thing ends?
Oh shit! The first restaurant I am going to, I would say Kowloon. Honestly, I would love to go back to Kowloon, but I had it a couple days ago, so I'm not like dying for it right now. I actually, you know what, Joe? I don't know.
Jesus, give me an answer, will you?
I don't have like probably okay.
Is it like a local joint that you go to or something?
Probably Bonchon.
All right, Bonchon. Yes, it's a great answer.
Yeah, probably Bonchon. I love Bonchon.
You love Bonchon. I've seen you go to work on some Bon. How is quarantine as a newlywed, Dan Lifshatz?
It's fine. I mean, it's honestly no different. We've been living together for years now, so it's not too different. It's just we haven't really gotten any fights, haven't really been getting on each other's nerves. But I will say, the one time we fight or one time we get in any arguments is when we're on Zoom calls with our friends, right? We're doing these Zoom calls with our friends and shit, and so whatever. And she screams so fucking loud on the phone, on the call, whenever we're on the Zoom
She's
call.
Loud.
I'm just like, will you just chill? And she won't. So that's the only time that we're having, arguments.
Okay. The Tampa Bay Bucks jerseys, we mentioned you liked one of them, but I'll get your thoughts on it. But the merchandise sold yesterday, more than the previous 17 days combined. Brady's merchandise spiked like 3,000%, and he's the top selling athlete across all sports, and the Bucks are the top selling team. So which jersey did you like?
I told you I like the gray ones. I thought the grays were well done. They looked pretty sleek. I really like those.
Yeah,
so I'd absolutely go gray.
I'd go with the straight white if I had like my choice. Just because I don't know. I mean, I think I might buy it actually. I don't know. Is there a holiday? Is there a holiday coming up? No. I don't think. Does the Easter Bunny come to the Lifshatz household?
I mean, for my wife, it does. I'm a little too Jewish for that, unfortunately. But, it's okay. Maybe we'll get a half Easter Bunny this year for the Jew.
All right, Dan. Your first bet ever.
Fuck. First bet ever was actually an NBA game. I bet on the Clippers. I had bought this guy's picks. I had seen him touting this amazing record, of course, which everyone does, and didn't realize that these guys constantly lie about the record. Bet on the Clippers as a small home favorite against the Lakers, and they lost by 45. So
you got your ass beat early and then learned the hard way.
Yeah. When I first really started gambling, like really, really started like doing stuff on my own, I had about a 3-week heater where I went literally about like 80%, 85%, could not lose. And that really helped me build everything. And I just thought it was amazing. I was like, oh, this is easy. This is amazing. And then I got humbled real quick after that. But yeah, it was real interesting how quickly you could just absolutely dominate the markets. When you get hot, you're just hot, dude. You just can't lose.
Worst loss you are willing to admit on this show today?
The amount or the game? Because there's a difference.
The game.
Okay. The worst game I've ever had, I had the Washington Redskins a couple of years ago versus Kansas City. And Kansas City, Washington I had Washington plus 7.5 or whatever. Or I honestly don't remember the line. Kansas City ended up scoring a touchdown.
Yes, it was like a weird fumble at the end of the game. You only remember your losses, right?
I
remember this.
I had the under.
It impacted the total and the final score. I remember this. It was a rainy day at FedEx Field. I remember this.
Yeah, I lost so much money that day. I was driving into 98.5 that night to do an overnight.
Did you eat Bon John?
So bad. No, dude. I didn't do anything that night. I was so mad. I literally just was like, I hate my life all night. I was literally on the way in the 98.5 to do an overnight. And it was brutal, dude. That I will never, ever forget that loss.
Finally, Dan, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
It's a good question. I don't know. I'm hoping that this thing, once it's sports gambling is kind of legalized here, I'm hoping that we kind of have a little bit, bigger market share. And I think we're just going to kind of see how, things go. I'm not one of those guys who has like a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. I hope I can be successful, and hope that we can continue to provide, winners for everyone, and people continue to listen to the podcast. And, we have a show right now. Hopefully we can expand on that show and, things go well.
Boom. All right. He's Dan Lifshatz, Over Under 985 podcast. You can listen to us and him Saturday morning, 7 a.m. and tomorrow with Toucher and Rich at 7 a.m. as well. Dan, thank you for joining me on my third podcast. I had to have you on before I had everybody else on, even though Billy made the cut.
Hey, I mean,
seniority.
Yeah, I get it, dude. Billy was hilarious, so I'm cool. I'm cool with Billy. I'm glad to be. I'm proud to be after Billy. How about that?
All right, he's Dan Lifshatz. Get back to work. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow morning.
All right, bud. I'll see you later.
All right, man. That is Dan Lifshatz, my tag team partner from the Over Under 95 podcast, the DraftKings Over Under show, and we have a good time. So, going to continue the podcast right now. I got a couple more thoughts on the Tom Brady interview today with Howard Stern, and also the Brawl for All last night. For anybody who watched that, it's a great series on Viceland. It goes into like wrestling stories. There was the Chris Benoit story just a couple of weeks ago. It was a 2-part series. It was awesome, and they're building on that. They're continuing to do like a series every single week. And last night it was the Brawl for All from like the 90s in WWE. I got some thoughts on that I want to bring up in a minute here, but just getting back to the Brady stuff quickly. I thought Brady was really candid today, really honest. He does weeklies on EEI, and he's not like that. He's reserved and spoken like a robot. He opened up about a lot of things. We kind of got into the, last season knowing it was probably his last was the biggest thing. He also said he didn't care about his legacy. And he mentioned he skipped OTAs because his wife, mentioned that he needed to check himself. But on why he left the Patriots, he says it was just time. I don't know what to say other than that. I accomplished everything I could in 2 decades and with an incredible organization and incredible group of people. He has some other funny things I want to get into in just a bit, but Brady said that he wouldn't have been as successful without Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick wouldn't have been successful without Brady. And I completely agree with that, and I'm glad he's the one who said it. Like, Belichick's done some amazing things as an assistant coach in his career, and even say what you want about his Browns tenure, he's the last Browns coach to win a playoff game. Like, he brought them to the playoffs. And he won a game, and I believe it was against the Patriots as well. But Belichick has done some good things as a coach. I mean, he has. Before the Patriots, it wasn't a success. But Tom Brady, I don't even know if he gets a chance. This system, that coach, Charlie Weiss, that whole situation, it is Belichick and Brady. That's what made it successful. The thing is now is, Brady, his legacy set 6 Super Bowls, 6 championships, 9 Super Bowls. Psh, he's done. He's in there. And Belichick will be known as the greatest quarterback, best coach of all time. But when it comes down to it, can Belichick win without Tom Brady? Can Belichick win without Tom Brady? He found Jimmy Garoppolo, who went to a Super Bowl. Jacoby Brissett started. Brian Hoyer's back here now. But the thing that I like is I believe that Bill Belichick can identify that next quarterback. That's the biggest thing for me. I think he can truly find that next quarterback. And thank you for checking in. You can send in chats if you're listening. I'll pull you guys right up here. As you can see, the juice is loose. Loves the show and the Bankroll Boys, so I appreciate that. A couple other things to highlight from the Howard Stern interview with Tom Brady. Brady said he stopped drinking and smoking weed late in high school because he didn't want to disappoint his father, who at one time wanted to become a priest. So we can admit that Tom Brady at one time in his life smoked weed. That's cool on my part. Bring Brady to the weed club, man. Imagine like Brady being like a super hippie, like Bill Walton. Like Brady, I don't know, the Gisele stuff just doesn't work out. He just becomes like I'm Tom Brady, man. He starts like doing commentary. Like, hey, we need somebody for Monday Night Football. Brady's like, oh man, I'm in, man. Yeah, back in my day, dude. I'd love and we already know that the guy can chug beers, right? We already know the guy can slam beers. Brady revealed that he would tell Bill Belichick he wouldn't throw to a receiver if he didn't trust him. I think we've seen that over his career. I mean, Danny Amendola's first year wouldn't even throw him a football. I wanted to bring up this one that I thought was fairly interesting. And this is, again, on the Howard Stern show. But Tom Brady tells Howard Stern he would like to stop showering with teammates. Now, when I played sports, it's weird. Like, everyone has a locker, and then you just walk to the shower, and everyone's butt-ass naked. It's like if you watched Half-Baked, and the guy's singing to the soap. That's what it's like. It's like that in there. But Brady, I think he would like to stop showering with teammates. I got the audio here. Let's hear that. But like Brady, like, that's a good point. Do they have those at Gillette Stadium? I don't know. But then he talked about like Gronk's physique. I thought that was pretty interesting. Gronk's a big specimen, and Howard Stern tried to get him to get him. Yeah, hey, so how big is Gronk? How big is Rob Gronkowski? I thought that was pretty funny. So that was something else that happened on the Brawl. I listened to it at like 8 this morning, so I'm trying to dig up some other stuff that happened here. Brady drinks 200 ounces of water a day. 200 ounces of water? Holy shit. Guy must piss like a racehorse. 200 ounces a day? Going back to the night that he said he was leaving the Patriots, Tom Brady said he was in tears the night he told Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick that he was leaving the house. I believe the way that he mentioned it was that he drove to Robert Kraft's house, told him, and then they called Bill Belichick together. And he said he cried. And we've seen Brady get emotional, right? Like we've seen Brady emotional in the past. No, they do not have those shields in the shower, Chris. I don't know why. But Brady, I think maybe Tampa Bay has them. Maybe that's why he chose the Bucks, right? Maybe they got that new stadium over there, so maybe that's why, because they got the dividers there for him. Brady on falling in love with Gisele while Bridget Moynihan was pregnant with his son. Quote, it was a challenging time. It was a unique time. So that was interesting. Brady on falling in love with Gisele. We mentioned that. Regarding Donald Trump, Brady said political support is different from the support of a friend. Somewhere in there, he mentioned Ivanka Trump. I think Donald was trying to hook up Brady with Ivanka, but I don't know what happened there. Not really sure what happened there. I thought another interesting thing and Stern's great. He really is. Brady. Oh, and this was the best one. So if you remember I forget what year it was. I forget what year it was. But Brady described the season that he got a sports hernia. And he told Howard Stern about the time that his testicles swelled up about the size of an orange. Purple balls. They were leaving notes on his locker calling him purple balls. Calling him an elephant. Oh, I thought that's so funny. I'd love to get Matt Castle on the show someday to talk about that story. I might be able to. I can work on that one. I'd actually would love to just hear that story for 5 minutes and then see you later. See you later, man. Anyways, that was very funny. I thought that was pretty good. But Brady did have that sports hernia that year. What else did he say? He loves Beetlejuice. Great character on Howard Stern. Brady said Gisele satisfies him in every way. And again, Howard Stern is the greatest interviewer of all time. Like Robin was in. He kept trying to hook Robin up with Brady. I thought that was really good. So that is it when it comes to the Tom Brady on Howard Stern. Again, the audio you heard there was from the Sirius interview, Sirius XM. It's free till May 15th, so I'll give that a plug if you want to listen to the whole entire interview. It was 2 hours long, but Brady was open. He was candid. Like, I think that was the most honest I've ever heard him in my life, and I've never met Tom Brady. I don't know him from a hole in the wall. We listen to him all the time on, when he does his weekly appearances. I can only imagine, what his, interviews with Jim Gray are like, right? So Tom, tell me about that hernia that you had there that time there. Matt Castle making jokes about you, calling you purple balls. How about that one? Well, it was a tough time. It was a tough time in my life there, Jim. Tough time. Anyways, finally, want to wrap up the show here. Again, any more comments that you guys want to jump in? I'm going to be here for probably another, 5 minutes or so here. But I just wanted to mention the Brawl for All you wrestling fans out there. And even if you're not like a Brawl for a wrestling fan or whatever, Viceland is doing documentaries every Tuesday night about something in wrestling history. So they're going to have one on Owen Hart. Last year they did the Von Erichs. They did one on Miss Elizabeth and Macho Man, which was like outstanding. But this one was about the Brawl for All. And it was like in the 90s, WWF, Vince Russo was a part of it. If you remember Vince Russo, he used to write the WWF magazine. And then Vince one day was like, we want to make Monday Night Raw what this magazine is. He creative mind, had some genius ideas, left, went to WCW and completely ruined it, ran it into the ground, and Vince McMahon ended up buying WCW, and the rest is history. But the idea to put mid-card wrestlers, in boxing gloves, the idea came from JBL, thought he was the toughest guy in the locker room. And Vince Russo was like, oh, why don't we put a couple of guys together here and see who is the toughest guy? Now, granted, wrestling is orchestrated. It's predetermined. It's choreographed. So you're going to put guys in actual boxing gloves and fighting with each other? And it was a disaster. Guys got hurt. Draws, if you watch him, guy's in a damn wheelchair. It's not because of that, but in a match, he fell on his head, broke his neck, and he's paralyzed now. But the Godfather, who's a Hall of Famer, knocked out. Dr. Death, Steve Williams, career ruined. I mean, literally, we watched careers get ruined. Bart Gunn ended up winning it against JBL, but Bart Gunn never got that push. The badass Billy Gunn did, certainly, but Bart Gunn never got that push, and it bothered him. He ended up having to go to Japan. They put him before that. They put him up against Butterbean in like a real match, and Butterbean knocked him out. Like it was bad, if you remember from back then. Overall, the documentary is great because it was such a bad idea. Like, wrestling is great because it is predetermined and the crowds are involved and there's an angle and a soap opera angle part of it. But, when I watched that thing, damn, what was going on in the 90s with some of these guys? And now you look back on it, and even Vince Russo mentioned this himself, the head trauma, man. Those dudes were taking real hits in the ring. They were getting knocked out. And again, if you get a chance, you have to watch the Chris Benoit documentary 1 and 2. When it comes to the head trauma, it's a really sad, depressing story, and a true one when it comes to wrestling and head injuries as well. So that is it for today. The Tom Brady story is pretty much dominating the headlines. He was on with Howard Stern for 2 hours today. He said he kind of knew before the season that he was going to leave the Patriots. Got a little candid when it came to his wife, Gisele, and mentioned Bridget Moynihan. And, at one point, Gisele was unhappy with Tom, wrote him a letter, said he needed to step up his game. And he ended up skipping OTAs. And Brady got shit for that for years. Right on Sports Talk Radio, it's like, dude, you got rookie receivers, get your ass to OTAs early. You want to be on the same page as those guys. Well, now we know why he wasn't. Now he knows. And, she wanted him to retire years ago, and he wants to play till he's 45. So that's probably something we're always going to have to watch. He took the high road when it came to Bill Belichick, said they both need each other. He actually didn't say a bad word about him at all. Loved Mr. Kraft, said he was emotional. One thing Howard did try to do was say, hey, who's the best receiver of all that he ever played with? And he kept, say Randy Moss, damn it, say it. And he wouldn't do it. That was pretty good. There was no mention of Aaron Hernandez, which is probably best for both sides there. But it was good. And then one other thing, it was towards the end, because I think some people tuned out after a while. Brady did say that he does want his son to play football, or would allow his son to play football. Did mention, not live up to his father's standards or anything like that. But, when it comes to children playing sports these days with head trauma and things like that, he said that he would allow it. So that coming from a 6-time Super Bowl champion and probably the greatest quarterback of all time. And they even asked, hey, are you better than Joe Montana? Took the high road on that one too. So in a way, Brady was kind of heel, right? But he took the high road on everything. And I thought it was, I thought overall it was a really good interview by the best interviewer of all time. All right, coming up on Thursday, I will be joined by Tim McCone of NBC 10 in Providence and also 98.5 The Sports Hub. We will shoot the shit. I'll find out what's going on with Tim McCone's quarantine time. Quarantine is what I like to call it. So we'll talk with Tim tomorrow. This will be replayed. Of course, you can watch it on Facebook Live and also on Twitter and Periscope. So I appreciate everybody who chatted in today. You can feel free to do that every day. If there's any topic ideas or show ideas that you want to send out, you can tweet me at Joey Murr. I'll put that up here on the screen so you guys can see that. But you can tweet me at 985, at Joey Murr, and I will be on with Toucher and Rich tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and then again on the DraftKings Over Under show Saturday morning at 7 a.m. as well. But I'm going to do these Monday through Friday. Of course, you can chat in every single day, and feel free to hit me up with any topic ideas. For my friend Dan Lifshatz and everybody else who got involved, appreciate your time today. I'm Joe Murray, just sitting here. We'll talk to you tomorrow.